Every blackout has a hidden cost. Behind the silence of dead sockets and broken transformers is a crime that is weakening Nigeria's power sector.
Yes, now, if you know there is no light, you will not have cold drinks now. You will not have cold, you have to buy ice block to cool your drinks before you sell. So light is very essential for us.
All our equipment here requires light. Without light, we can't do work.
So do you think electricity theft is contributing to this?
Somehow, I would say yes, but it's not essential. It's not important, because if the provider will be able to give us the adequate light that we needed, I think they can easily identify those that are stealing the light.
Some people they just like to bypass constituted authority. They want to do things their way. They don't want to pay. So some of them, you still find them around. Even if you take a walk around the plaza, you yourself, you will see that some people are bypassing light, but it's not on a large scale.
A quiet crisis unfolds daily, not just technical or financial, but criminal. Electricity theft is not only sabotaging the power sector, it is also a punishable offense under Nigerian law.
The Electricity Act itself, at 20, from Section 208 downwards, you have provisions that now establish criminal offenses that can be tried criminally, and if found wanting or culpable, customers or entities can actually be convicted and fined.
From thefts and sabotage to accountability and reform, we trace the cost of stolen power and what it means for every Nigerian.
Electricity theft is a major challenge that we're battling with in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, largely because of people's habit, bad behavior, and then unwillingness to pay for electricity. And it's understandable. Looking at where we're coming from, before privatization, electricity has always been viewed as a social service. And then when privatization took place, a lot of changes, and then private sector involvement, came into fore. And then while the train moved, a lot of people tried to still remain where they were.
We have forgotten the fact that there is an investor who needs a return on his investment. So there's actually nothing that is free. Somebody is paying somewhere. So we must have that mind shift from NEPA.
Electricity theft, the unauthorized access to electricity services, either by way of bypassing the end-use customer meter or MD meter, depending on the load profile of the customer, or illegal connections to receive electricity supply that is not accounted for, or illegal reconnections at the point the distribution company has enforced actions on the customer, and then taking supply from the customer. These actions lead to losses.
Who created the environment for that to happen? It is a system we found ourselves in place.
So for us as a DISCO, electricity theft has significantly impacted on our performance, impacted on our ability to be able to recover the service quality that we have deployed already to our customers, and also have impacted on our ability to be able to pay our obligation to both the market and to our people.
To know how theft affects us, we first must know how the system works. Electricity theft happens in many ways: meter bypass, meter tampering, illegal connections, and vandalism. It is a shadow business growing in plain sight.
It is also important for distribution companies to have the capacity to be able to collect the revenue for this service that has been rendered to customers.
So basically, we have committed energy that we take from the grid, that at the end of the month, we are expected to invoice for them. So whatever quantum we take from the grid on a monthly basis, we struggle to be able to account for 80%. So basically, like for the first quarter of 2025, we marginally accounted for 75% of our energy taken from the grid. So the rest of 25% thereof, we can significantly see energy theft is part of the contributors why we're unable to account for the remaining 25%.
NERC, Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, which we always refer to as the Commission, is Nigeria's primary electricity regulator that was established by the EPS and Electricity Power Sector Reform Act of 2005, now repealed by the Electricity Act of 2023. The primary mandate of the Commission is to enforce stable, fair, and efficient regulatory environment for the Nigerian electricity sector. NERC has a mandate to provide certainty to investors.
NERC plays a key role in establishing cost-reflective tariffs. First of all, the Electricity Act of 2023 has already obligated the Commission to review and approve fair prices. Only prudent costs must be incorporated in the prices, and these prices are supposed to ensure reasonable return for the investors. So by doing that, we go through a rigorous process of reviewing the submissions from the discos, the utilities. We make sure that all the costs are incorporated, and the costs, they are efficient costs, prudent costs. So the Commission does not joke with ensuring prudency. Prudency is key for us to make sure that the costs are reflective of the service, and costs are reflective, and tariffs are reflective of the costs that are embedded in what they pay. So that makes sure that the customers are not overburdened by inefficiencies of the utilities. So it's a lot of work in the Economic Regulation Division. We go through stakeholdering. We don't just receive the numbers, we also open up the numbers to public consultation to see these are what the utilities have presented. So the stakeholders are part of the discussion, the policymakers are part of the discussion as well. And at the end of the day, what we want is to make sure that honest customers, not just customers that are into illegal connections or unauthorized access, pay for exactly what they receive from the utilities.
Your electricity bill is going up, not only because you are consuming more, but because others are stealing.
Typically, because our operations are more predominant in the daytime hour, it happens more at nighttime. That's where you see unauthorized access, people tampering and all of that. So the level of rascality in that time of day is significantly high, as much as 50% for dense, low-income areas. For places that are sparsely high-income net worth environment, you see within the range of 15 to 20%. All right. So that's basically the spread. So if you take a mean, we're looking at about 30% of our customer size or market size prone to energy theft and electricity, unauthorized access to energy.
The economic situation of the country is not really, helping anybody. Sometimes I think why people do that is that because they cannot really afford to pay most of these things. And I discovered some people in the neighborhood, some of them did bypassing.
Absolute rejection of meters. People still believe, bill me, I want to have bills. To energy infraction, the biggest one, energy theft. Some people now these days seems to wire their houses in such a way that if you do not go through the wiring system properly, wherever you're putting your meter, seems to already be having energy bypassed.
The electricity comes from a source, from the generation, through transmission, all the way to distribution, and then to your home. Before it gets, the only instrument that stands as an arbiter between you and the person providing it is the meter. So if the electricity that goes into your appliance, either your heat, your light, or your motive energy, which is mechanical thing, does not go through a meter, automatically all the efforts of generation, transmission, and distribution is futile, is wasted. So this has first and foremost the technical implication of the people providing this electricity, that is generation, transmission, will not be able to get back their returns. Even the system controls will not effectively monitor to know what has actually been taken. And then if there is requirement of increasing the capacities of the instrument, of the infrastructure within a given area arises, because you are freeloading, you are stealing, nobody is seeing you, it now overworks the existing infrastructure within that area. So if you have, for instance, a 500 kVA transformer in your area that has been configured to meet maybe the consumption of 50 persons or 50 households, and then there are about 10, 15, 20 other individuals within that area still relying on that, that transformer, what happens to it? It becomes overloaded. It leads to breakdowns. It leads to system disruptions. The control system cannot identify where this extra load is coming from. And at the end of the day, it leads to system collapse.
Electricity theft hurts the economy, puts pressure on honest consumers, and can destroy Nigeria's electricity supply.
Energy that is not accounted for, all right, is energy that will be billed, will be considered in your billing in the future. So any loss we encounter today is somehow plugged back into the next pricing framework, which will potentially increase the tariff for the customer.
NERC has implemented particular order, which specifically is named the KPI monitoring order. So from the KPI monitoring order, NERC has set certain parameters of financial and economic measure that DISCOs are expected to meet at the least, or perhaps exceed, for them to be able to demonstrate their operational and optimal efficiency. So I'll give you an example. So NERC measures revenue per unit of energy offtake. Revenue per unit of energy offtake looks at how much a DISCO is able to earn vis-a-vis the quantum of energy that the DISCO has received from the grid. So expectation is that when you take energy from the grid, it's a product. It has to translate to revenue. And so NERC has said that at about 95%. So the expectation is that once a DISCO operates at least 95% efficiency with respect to revenue per energy received, that DISCO is able to, within its own area of operation, reduce the impact of energy theft.
In our rules, the licensing terms and conditions given to distribution companies, your first contact with a distribution company is the meter. So if you don't have a meter, you should not have electricity, because that meter is the only live wire for returns of what has been consumed. So for me, if somebody tampers with a meter, it's like you have committed the worst crime in the world.
As we all know, electricity theft comes from where there are instances of bypass, or there are instances where the customers are not metered, and as such, you cannot really say this is how much they are consuming.
So NERC's proactive licensing and oversight has played a crucial role in preventing potential avenues for electricity theft. One of the key areas is the authorization for the manufacturing of electricity meters. And this initiative is to bridge the metering gap and ensure that all electricity consumers are adequately metered. Now, in the process of issuing this authorization, we enforce strict requirements and standards that all meters must meet, notably the requirements for smart metering technology. Smart meters are significantly difficult to bypass compared to the traditional meters. And historically, of course, we know that the major sources of electricity theft has been bypassing and tampering. And so with the smart meters, they've been designed with features that firstly you can monitor remotely, and they are able to detect and trigger alerts upon any form of manipulation or interference, making it more difficult to carry out such activities undetected. So by mandating the use of smart meters and rigorously vetting the manufacturers before issuing authorizations, we're able to reduce the level of electricity theft within the sector.
We normally pay NEPA bill every month. It dey normal. Sometimes they increase, but na normal thing now because na group money we dey pay every month. They go tax everybody. Where they use lights, we go pay. They never give us meter.
Like where I live, transformer got spoiled. The indigene had to pay and buy transformer. At the end, the NEPA and the disco will charge and collect the money from the. So who are you? Are robbing citizens. That is a robbery. Also, they are also stealing.
So when you want to look at energy theft, you look at it from the angle of the distribution company stealing and the angle of the consumer stealing without paying. In both ways, it means disobedience to the law.
In a system this vulnerable, regulation isn't enough. Everyone must take part.
Following a lot of complaints from the distribution companies that there was a kind of increase, regarding electricity theft, the Commission also came out with an order. That order is titled Unauthorized Access of Electricity via Tampering and Meter Bypass. Now that order is 3-layered. That order stipulates the fines if you're caught. It also stipulates the reconnection charges and the process to which the customer can be reconnected once an established case of bypass or meter tampering has been proven. It's important to state that, that anyone who is caught bypassing or tampering with their meters or even illegally connected, that action affects a lot of customers.
The amended order on unauthorized access, meter tampering and bypass stipulates a procedure or protocol for handling instances of electricity theft or vandalism. First off, the order is to the effect that whenever a disco determines that a customer has committed a meter bypass or tampered with his meter or has indulged in unauthorized access, the disco is required to use pictorial and documentary and analytical evidence to prove that, yes, this is established.
Our collaborative effort also extends to the judicial arm because every year in collaboration with the National Judicial Institute, we carry out seminars for judges to educate them to build their capacity in handling matters pertaining to the power sector. Now, regarding law enforcement agency, just recently, the Commission hosted a strategic meeting with key stakeholders in the power sector, and it was organized by the Office of the NERC to address electricity infrastructure security issues.
The Commission has engaged in a number of stakeholding with critical stakeholders like the judiciary, so that we have a clear. And during these engagements, we make a lot of papers with them. We do a lot of workshopping where we actually explain the laws that governs the power sector. And with that enlightenment, they have been much more helpful, had more understanding when they have cases of this nature brought to their court of jurisdiction. And it's been very useful engagement. Have been able to foster the necessary collaboration between the Commission and the judiciary in handling a number of our cases. And further engagement also been done with law enforcement officers in the instance where we have recalcitrant or very high-powered offenders. They have been able to partner with the Nigerian police, and of course the civil defense.
You can't hear any department of government tell you what consumers lose as a result of false declaration, which the distribution companies are committing against them. And Section 217 of the Electricity Act 2023 is against false declaration. But unfortunately, the punishment for false declaration in the Act is only if a distribution company declares that, like you are in Band A, like in this plaza. Then Abuja Electricity Distribution Company secretly migrated us to Band A when we were actually to be in Band B. And they were secretly collecting money for Band A from us. You see the injustice. Now, when they did this, the question is, if we bypass now, the law, the regulator encourages them, government encourages the discos to punish the consumer without going to court, without going to police to report. Once they say it's bypass. But if they overbill the consumer is told to go and report to the disco and wait for 15 working days and escalate it to NERC forum, how long will that be? Even the law says when you are challenging their billing, they shouldn't disconnect you. But in this case, when you are challenging bills, they disconnect you in violation of the law.
So what the Commission has done, again, I'm going to draw my reference to the from the Customer Protection Regulation, is that there are regulations there that speaks on how these complaints can be resolved. The entry point is for customers to ensure that they document their complaints and forward it to their service providers, the various discos that we have.
We also have communities that we've brought here and had a meeting with them, between them and the distribution company, and resolved quite a number of them. We have a community in Benin that will resolve their issue like that. We have about 2 or 3 communities here in Abuja that have resolved issues like that. And then individuals as well, because we have people that are like estates. We have about 2 estates in Lube that will address issues here at the headquarters. So it's an ongoing thing. We keep on, as the issues arise, as individuals working, we handle it.
We have instances of, customers who, had complained, and they may be either communication issue or thereabout. They were not able to get it addressed at the distribution company level. And then, of course, they hear about the town hall, and then they come to the town hall meeting, submit their complaint, and it was resolved instant. We have so many instances, both in Bauchi, just in June, both in Kaduna, in Sokoto, in Asaba, in Owerri, in Bauchi, in Lagos, in Enugu. So the town hall have been a very big opportunity for customers who have any issue as far as it relates to, consumption of electricity, to seek redress. And the good thing about the town hall meeting is that issues reported at town hall meeting has timeline attached to it. And because timeline is attached to it and there are specific officers monitoring the resolution of those, so those issues are resolved, if not immediate, within those timelines.
I can assure you, in almost all instances, if a customer comes, follows the procedure, does not take rules into his hands, does the right thing, I can assure you the regulator is here to protect him. And I have seen it work over and over again. I've seen compensations paid to customers who decided to follow it. There are rules. What I advise all customers is that, including those customer advocates, is that they should ensure that they put in place mechanisms, they understand our rules, and then advocate in those regards for whoever they are representing.
For every kilowatt stolen, a neighbor pays the price. Small businesses, students, and hospitals suffer the most.
Some of the initiatives taken by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to foster collaboration with the community and safeguard, or rather encourage whistleblowing, are like the town hall meetings, the road shows, and what have you. And then there's another expanded meeting sometimes being carried out specifically in some areas that are really prone, to those kind of issues. So these are some of the programs that are being undertaken, even though it's been championed by the Commission, but it's handled by the discos themselves because they want to foster relationship between the communities and the distribution companies.
So it is important that anybody who sees something must say something. If you see your neighbor stealing electricity, you must report, because at the end of the day, it will affect you, it will affect your tariff, it will affect the cost of running the business, and more critically, it will disincentivize investors from coming in to invest because they are not seeing their money.
If you are part of stealing electricity, vandalizing electricity equipment, you are not doing good for Nigerians.
Well, the law will catch up with anybody that is doing evil.
Electricity theft is not a way to survive. It is economic sabotage. It makes the grid weaker, increases bills, and pulls the power sector backwards. Nigerians must face the darkness in order to turn on the lights.
So, you want to solve this problem of energy theft? Number one, know the number of Nigerians that are in electricity. You must know, right? A robust customer enumeration exercise nationwide for us to know the percentage of those who have access, the percentage of those who are using electricity and they are not known, the percentage of those who are underserved. We need to. Then secondly, there must be a deliberate or intentional effort to conduct mass metering. It's not the customer now that has his money, and you are expecting the customers to bring out their resources to go. And when they bring out their resources to go and buy meter, buy transformer, buy this, then you expect them again. And under such frustrations, people are tempted to go into.
You have to enlightenment and, giving the right information to a customer that whoever steals electricity or whoever, gets electricity without, following through the metering process or decides to bypass his meter has actually increased his own suffering. Because of all the other things that we've mentioned here, you will suffer it. Whether you gain today, you think you have, because each unit of electricity that you take, whether you pay it or not, somebody must pay it. There has to be, on the side of the utilities themselves, they must enhance their monitoring processes for purposes of, ensuring revenue protection, which means that their revenue protection activity must be enhanced. In other bigger clients and more developed clients, what happens is that if you touch your meter, the meter automatically doubles your tariff. Oh yes. So we could equally introduce, very smart meters that will come and, prevent individuals from carrying out this. And in some clients too, if you touch your meter, you go to jail.
All our meters we are deploying now are smart. Smart meters is one solution, and we are actually moving seriously at it. We are metering all our DSS. DSS is distribution substations, our transformers. We are metering them to help us do transformer energy accounting. We have grid meters, we have feeder meters that we're trying to get all our DS. We have some already metered, but we are going deep into it right now, such that every meter is accounting for every transformer is accounting for the energy at that transformer point before the customer meters.
We look at customers as partners. All the customers are supposed to be partners in this business. It's supposed to be like a win-win-win situation. When you look at yourself as a partner, that means that for every every piece of energy that you receive and you consume, you must pay for it. So you have to be a reasonable consumer. You must pay your bills. You must watch out in your vicinity, your community, to see who are those that are engaging in illegal connections or unauthorized access. Report them. There are whistleblowing policies that the discos have rolled out, which we encouraged. So you see something, you say something, knowing that we're working for the country Nigeria.
If you see anyone stealing electricity, speak up, report it. Together, Nigerians can stop electricity theft.